Mr. Yang, you've talked quite a bit today about the increased violence against Asian Americans, and we've had discussions related to social media and how that is really, just say, furthering some of these attacks in communities across the country. I would like you to talk a little bit specifically with Asian Americans as to how social media and misinformation related to COVID-19 has particularly had a significant impact on your community and what we should be doing about it.
Thank you very much for that question. There's a couple of things. Number one is, with respect to that misinformation, that actually caused an effect on the Asian American community with respect to COVID-19 before any other community, before anything else. Even before we had the first case of COVID-19 here in the United States, Asian Americans were being discriminated against, especially in their businesses, because about this misinformation about the hygiene of Asian American businesses, about the cause of COVID-19 and how Asian Americans might be special carriers of that. Then that translated into actual cases of violence against our community because of what we saw on social media. The number of times that we saw that picture of a fake picture of an Asian American eating a bat that caused so many attacks against our community. Before this hearing, I took a quick look at the statistics with respect to anti-Asian attacks against our community from our own website. I've recorded very quickly over a dozen cases in which, while that person was attacking an Asian American, they were talking about Asian Americans eating bats. And so that disinformation is part of the issue that we need to address, right? And I do agree that it is both digital literacy, as I would call it, with respect to people that are consuming that information, as well as content moderation with respect to the platforms that are allowing those pieces to proliferate. But again, I would also go to the source, which is, who is it that is causing that or feeding that racism, seeding that extremism? Because those are also the groups, the individuals that we need to address head on.
Thank you. Mr. Goldenberg, as a former vice chair of DHS's Faith-Based Advisory Security Council, you made a number of recommendations regarding how the department should address the rise of violence in faith-based communities. My question for you today, though, is given where we are today, what do you think is the most important action that the Department of Homeland Security must take?
I think it's ownership. The department is vast. We all know several hundred thousand good individuals are over there. And the initiative really needs to have ownership, someone at a very senior level that could transverse across all the various divisions and departments and offices that really focuses on this issue. And I have to agree wholeheartly with Eric Fingerhut, whom I know for several years, that this should be considered a part of critical infrastructure. If our houses of worship are not critical infrastructure, I'm not sure what is. And as I said before, it has definitely become an Achilles heel. We also, one more thing we do need to be thinking about, and I'd like to put on the record, is the fact, with First Amendment, with threats that are coming through social media, the fact that we have people in vulnerable communities that are deeply concerned about their safety and security and feel terrorized by threats vis-a-vis social media, where is the law broken? When can an investigation be opened up? Where does DOJ or a state's attorney's office, where can they now open up an investigation predicated upon a person's concern that their safety is at stake? And that's a great concern right now. Take a look at how many cases have been opened up where someone is threatened over the internet and there's absolutely nowhere to go with it. You don't even know what agency to report it to. So these are the things that I think that we need to be very focused on.
Well, thank you for that. Senator Ossoff, you are now recognized for your questions.